The only place you can get to without a map is lost. Welcome to another episode of Self-Employed Success Secrets. Midweek edition. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the difference between being data-driven versus data-informed and why one is better than the other. Okay? On this video, the hope is that you learn something new and come out smarter than you were before. Okay, there's a lot of insights and information on being self-employed that a lot of people don't.
Okay, so what? What's the big deal? Why should we care about being data-driven versus data-informed? Okay, it's important because your life is pretty brief and it's gonna go by fast. We're already on the fourth day of the year. Using data correctly will help you in reaching your goals and getting there more efficiently and effectively. Okay. And happily, okay? Having business is hard, this is gonna help you. Okay, so let's start with data-driven, okay? This is a buzzword that is heard a lot in society that sounds exciting, okay? It's that active alliteration that you hear a lot on TV or when you're hearing somebody talk that makes your eyes perk up, okay? So when you think of data-driven, think of a vending machine, think of the car dashboard on your car, think of a scoreboard. It just spits out. That's the only value to it. You just spit it out and you just look at it from face.
The problem with data-driven is that it's surface level information. It just comes out of the vending machine. You're like, oh, or it comes out the dashboard. Oh, we happen to be driving 65 miles an hour, and that's all you know. Okay, the thing about being data-driven and why it's so prevalent in our world is that once again, it's easy. People gravitate to what's easy, but if you're going to win, you have to gravitate to what's effortful versus what's easy, okay? Effortful over.
All right, let's explore being data informed. Now, this term is not as popular as being data driven, but it is much more effective and prolific if used well, okay? So basically, being data informed, it uses information to create insights. This information is called key performance indicators, things that signify where significant action is being taken place. And you use that insight to create action, those actions to create impact. For example, 80% of car accidents are caused by distracted driving. You use that information to make things better.
Pretty interesting, huh? That 80% of car accidents are caused by distracted driving, okay? Like, let's say the government was like, hey, you know, if we know that 80% of car accidents are caused by distracted driving, what if we put a limit on how high the radio can go in cars? They could work with car manufacturers and be like, hey, let's turn the radio down. They could say, hey, phones could be disabled when they get in the car. One day I saw a guy literally watching a YouTube video while driving the car. Okay, distracted drive by using data can help to make things better. Now, how does this relate to your business? Okay, let's say that you work at a clothes store. Okay, and let's say you sell three things. You sell sweaters, pants, and jackets. And you want to take a data-informed approach to what you're doing. You're like, okay, in January, I sold 12 jackets and I sold 5 pants. And you're like, okay. And you look at your past data and you're like, I'm selling more sweaters than everything else. You can use that data to be like, you know what? We're just going to specialize in sweaters. We're going to get rid of the pants and the jackets. We're just going to specify in it. That's what being data-informed is, looking at key performance indicators, which is the purchase of the sweaters, the sale of this from your insight, from your perspective, the sale of the sweaters, and then using that insight to take action. And you're like, you know what, we're not going to sell anything else. We're just going to focus on these sweaters. People seem to like them more. And then you have an impact. It's an impact on you and an impact on them. You're able to give people what they want from you. Okay, so that's a very brief example of being data-driven or data-informed. Remember, data-informed is better than being data-driven. Data-driven is easier, but it's not as effective. Okay.
So what is the conclusion from all this information? The conclusion is that data-informed takes more work and thought, but it is better, okay? It will bring more rewards in a faster time. If you just use the empirical information, the empirical evidence that you have access to, all your information, your accounting data, all the information from the books and records you've been keeping by proxy of just having a business, okay? Become more data informed as your business goes on. It will help you, and it will reap benefits than just being data driven. A lot of businesses are data driven. They just look at their income statement. I do bookkeeping, and they'll just look at it at a cursory glance, and that's it.
It's not going to do it. Okay, you gotta pour into the difference between data informed jumps into the water. Data driven puts its foot in the water. That's it. Just barely touches it. Okay. Be data informed. It's much, much better. Don't be tricked by the buzzword data driven. Okay, now this leads to today's surprise. Okay, today's surprise is being lazy is disrespectful to your future self. Okay, this time next year in 2024, you're gonna be somewhere, and it's gonna be determined by the actions you take in, January, February, March, April, the whole year. Okay, being data driven is easy. Oh man, I spent X amount of money. Let me just stop. Being data informed is why and how, okay? Data driven is what? Data informed is why and how. Why did I spend all that money? How am I spending all that money? You dive into it, and from that information, you create insights, and from that insight, you take action. From those actions, you can measure impact. Okay, that's why being data informed is much better, but it's a little bit harder, but it's a lot better. I'm gonna say it again, it's a little bit harder to do. It takes a little bit more time to do, but you get a lot more from it. A lot of stuff in life is like that, okay? So, lastly, as always, unsuccessful people make decisions based on their current situations, but successful people, you hopefully make decisions based on where you want to be. Make decisions based on where you want to be. Okay, bye.